Legend has it that the ancient Mayans simply vanished overnight, leaving behind towering pyramids and cryptic hieroglyphs that peer at us from across the centuries. But what if their disappearance wasn't a tragic collapse? What if their departure was deliberate, orchestrated with cosmic foresight beyond our modern reckoning? Right now, we stand on the precipice of a provocative revelation that could rewrite history itself. The Mayans were an advanced civilization, famed for their intricate calendars and uncanny astronomical knowledge, yet conventional wisdom insists they just faded away. That contradiction begs a deeper look. Because if the Mayans truly disappeared, how do we explain accounts of advanced star charts, distant cosmic alignments, and eerily precise predictions that still hold water today? Something doesn't add up. It's almost as if they left behind a puzzle meant to perplex us. A puzzle whose missing piece just might be the greatest archaeological twist of all time. People say their mighty empire crumbled under famine or war, but that story hardly satisfies our sense of wonder. The truth might lie in an uncharted realm, poised to shatter everything we assume about the fate of this fabled society. Brace yourself as we explore the shocking possibility that the Mayans orchestrated their own exodus, deliberately sealing their city gates behind them as they vanished into time, or perhaps into something far stranger than we've ever dared to imagine. Have you ever wondered why the official narrative claims the Mayans were undone by simple resource depletion, yet cities like Tikal and Palenque rose to breathtaking prominence far from abundant water sources? There's a baffling disconnect here. Their sophisticated engineering harnessed water through complex aqueducts, so why would they abandon a system that thrived for centuries? Some scholars whisper about deeper, more mystifying reasons, from cataclysmic celestial events to advanced knowledge of cyclical Earth changes. Others point to archaeological anomalies, tools that hint at a technology we still don't fully understand, temples aligned so precisely with solar and lunar movements that it feels almost supernatural. A handful of renegade researchers even suggest the Mayans were preparing for a cosmic shift, one that might have beckoned them to leave their earthly realm entirely. It sounds absurd, right? But step back for a moment. Their stargazing was eerily accurate, connecting them to planetary cycles in a profound way. If you were convinced the cosmos was about to transform, wouldn't you plan a strategic retreat? Perhaps those last hieroglyphic texts weren't records of an imminent doom, but instructions for something else, an exodus to safer ground, or maybe to somewhere even more extraordinary. In a moment, we're going to take a closer look at the bizarre artifacts that might just validate these far-fetched notions or leave us more puzzled than ever. Picture a sealed corridor deep within the labyrinth of Mayan ruins, a place where ordinary tourists rarely venture. Inside, the walls whisper with etched secrets that mock mainstream archaeology. Here's the twist. Some of these carvings seem to depict shapes reminiscent of advanced cosmological knowledge. Celestial bodies in distinct alignment, vortex-like patterns, and even swirling double helix motifs. How could a pre-industrial society conceive such intricate cosmic geometry? It disrupts every assumption about what they should have known. One out-of-place artifact discovered in a Luderzana tunnel curiously resembles a modern-day lens or a device housing a crystalline core. That alone should make us question what we think we know. Were the Mayans tapping into energies or insights that we've only begun to theorize today? Or is it possible they had outside assistance from unknown sources? It's enough to jolt anyone out of complacency. If we attempt to shrug this off as artistic symbolism, we risk ignoring clues that might transform everything from archaeology to astrophysics. And that's exactly the pattern interrupt we need. The Mayans, as it seems, weren't just pyramid builders. They might have been guardians of knowledge that transcends the boundaries of their era. Next, let's unravel an even more astonishing piece of evidence. Accounts from Spanish chroniclers who glimpsed something that defies ordinary historical explanation. Stay tuned, because once we dive into these colonial records, you may question how well the Western world truly understood the Mayans' final farewell. And that is only the tip of the serpentine riddle they've left behind. Imagine a weary Spanish chronicler, ink-stained fingers trembling as he sets down an account of an eerie spectacle witnessed on a moonlit stretch of the Yucatan coast. According to this tale, entire groups of Mayan priests gathered in torchlit processions, chanting in unison while pointing skyward at constellations unknown to European astronomy. The chronicler described a sense of otherworldly reverence, like a longing for a place beyond the horizon of ordinary comprehension. This moment, captured in a fragile diary, resonates with an unexpectedly human note: fear, awe, and a tinge of sorrow. The Spanish saw the Mayans not just as formidable warriors, but as keepers of a mysticism that defied Christian explanation. One soldier reported glimpsing luminous lights dancing above the treetops, swirling in patterns that seemed to respond to the priest's chants. Whether these were elaborate rituals with hidden pyrotechnics or something more mysterious, we may never know. But the emotional weight is undeniable. It draws us closer to the sense that the Mayans were preparing, or perhaps yearning, for a grand departure. These first-hand accounts seldom make it into the mainstream textbooks. Too absurd, too loaded with the intangible. And yet, they add a haunting dimension to our narrative. The Mayans, in their final days, were guided by a profound cosmic connection that left foreign observers unsettled, perhaps even shaken to their core. And with each retelling, we can't help but feel a pang of empathy. Were they saying goodbye to a world that could never truly understand them? Now let's accelerate into the heart of the enigma. Archaeologists have mapped over 100 major Mayan sites, each impeccably oriented to cardinal directions, solstices, or the patterns of stars. It's as though they designed an entire civilization around cosmic choreography, weaving agriculture, religion, and politics into the blueprint of the universe. When we look at the data, a baffling pattern emerges. Most of these grand cities show sudden declines in population at oddly synchronized intervals. Official timelines say these collapses came in waves, but the precise alignment of certain dates with notable astronomical events raises red flags. Researchers tally anomalies in everything from skeletal remains, indicating rapid relocation rather than protracted violence, to newly uncovered trade routes that simply stopped being used. We see evidence of abrupt shifts in water management, seemingly unlinked to environmental disaster. It's as if entire communities picked up and vanished, leaving behind half-finished relics, stashes of precious jade, and half-burned ceremonial incense. To call it a mere mystery feels like an understatement. The deeper you dig, the louder the question becomes. Did these mass migrations coincide with what the Mayans believed were cosmic cycles? And if so, where exactly did they think they were going? Keep that engine of curiosity running, because next, we'll dive into some provocative scientific tests on Mayan relics that might hold the key to unraveling their deliberate departure. Brace yourself. The evidence is stacking up faster than any simple collapse theory can manage. In recent years, advanced lab analyses have been conducted on Mayan pottery shards, ceremonial knives, and even bizarre amulets discovered near the final occupation layers of major temple complexes. The results are nothing short of startling. Trace elements hint at materials not commonly found in the local geology, including rare compounds with possible psychoactive or superconductive properties. Could this be the key to understanding their abrupt departure? Perhaps they were experimenting with energies or substances that opened gateways we've yet to conceive, metaphorically or literally. One team of geologists stumbled upon minuscule metallic clusters embedded in a Mayan statue, raising eyebrows about extraterrestrial meteor fragments or an intentional infusion of cosmic metals. Meanwhile, carbon dating reveals hotspots where entire communities seemingly evaporated within a generation, as if they'd orchestrated a hasty exodus timed down to the lunar cycle. Is there a hidden chronometer in their calendar that signaled the hour to leave? Skeptics scoff, claiming these anomalies are random scatter, but the pattern is too deliberate to dismiss. The real stunner is that each new revelation beckons us closer to an astonishing resolution, like pieces in a cosmic jigsaw puzzle. Very soon, we might unearth the final piece that proves the Mayans staged their own grand exit, guided by forces we barely comprehend. And once that realization dawns, our entire view of ancient civilizations might never be the same. So keep watching, because the solution could be closer than we think, lurking on the horizon of our understanding. Time for another jolt to our conventional thinking. Some researchers have identified a recurring numerical pattern that emerges in Mayan inscriptions, a sequence that aligns suspiciously well with specific planetary cycles and geological markers. It's as if the Mayans possessed a blueprint for cosmic timing, a coded system that might have guided not just their agricultural rituals, but their entire plan for departure. If you line up key events in Mayan history against these cyclical markers, major temple inaugurations, rumored exoduses, even rumored sightings of unearthly lights overhead, the pattern becomes almost impossible to ignore. But here's the real shocker. The final date in one of these sequences doesn't point to a cataclysmic meltdown. Instead, it hints at a purposeful turning point, a cosmic alignment where the Mayans seemingly decided their chapter in this realm had reached its conclusion. That flies in the face of every mainstream history lesson that insists they merely died out or were conquered. This is the type of puzzle that keeps ancient astronaut theorists and fringe archaeologists up at night, a civilization that might have orchestrated its own disappearance with the precision of an astronomer's calculations. Are we staring at an equation that prophesied their exit, or is this all a series of coincidences woven together by hopeful imaginations? We'll dig deeper into that question as we embrace the emotional undercurrent flowing through their final cryptic prophecies. And at the heart of these riddles, we find not a collapsed society, but a carefully staged mystery. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the pulse of a culture on the brink of farewell. Envision a Mayan elder standing before a blazing ceremonial fire, heart pounding with the weight of centuries. Imagine him gazing at the sky, perhaps aware that his people's story was nearing a profound shift. This isn't just about archaeology or cosmic data, it's about the raw human experience. The longing, the sorrow, the fierce hope that somewhere beyond the shimmering constellations lies an answer. Oral traditions passed from generation to generation carry hints of this emotional reality. Families preparing for journeys to unknown places, communities binding together in solemn rites. If the old stories are to be believed, children were taught lullabies that spoke not only of life and death, but of transcending the boundary between the known world and the vast unknown. It's here, in these personal tales and whispered legends, that we glimpse the Mayans' deep spiritual conviction, one that might have fueled an exodus beyond ordinary timelines. We can practically feel their trembling resolve in those final nights. And no matter how advanced their science or how cosmic their calendars, the real heartbeat of this mystery might be found in that intangible blend of faith, fear, and collective courage. Hold this feeling close. It might be the sympathy chord that resonates through the centuries, inviting us to see beyond the mere rubble of collapsed pyramids. Because sometimes, the greatest exodus is also the most achingly human. Take a deep breath, because the tension is mounting. As we piece together these accounts of cosmic calendars, hidden artifacts, and emotional farewells, a new perspective emerges. One that challenges conventional notions of what a civilization can achieve when driven by faith and knowledge. Modern-day researchers are finding unexplained alignments between Mayan records and pulses in Earth's geomagnetic field, or potential cosmic radiation events that might coincide with pivotal epochs in Mayan history. The synergy is uncanny. Could these spikes in natural forces have been the triggers the Mayans anticipated, using them as signposts to begin final preparations? If so, their grand exodus wasn't a random scattering, but a deliberate migration in time with cosmic rhythms. It's no wonder outside experts are rattled. We're looking at evidence that points to a communal decision to exit stage left at the crescendo of a planetary or celestial cycle, almost like a cosmic drumbeat they had tuned into. The uneasy part? We can't replicate much of what they knew, or how they deduced it. The sense of an elusive revelation has grown so palpable that some fear we're on the cusp of rewriting human history. Keep your pulse racing, because in the next section, we'll examine the final correspondences, coded glyphs that might hold the key to deciphering the Mayans' secret timeline and revealing just what they truly anticipated beyond the horizon of known existence. Think about that for a second. A mass exodus triggered by the cosmos itself. Here we stand at the edge of a remarkable resolution. Scholars have been painstakingly dissecting newly unearthed codices, fragile texts that still bear the scent of ancient pigments, each glyph a portal into the Mayans' final revelation. Early translations suggest references to a great passage timed with the alignment of certain serpent stars. Could this be the cosmic countdown that signaled a planned migration rather than a tragic downfall? We've been taught for generations that advanced civilizations either flourish endlessly or collapse from internal strife. But these codices hint at an altogether different script, one in which a people transcend the boundaries of their own geography and era. Historians who scoff at this narrative claim it's all allegory or myth, but repeated cross-checks of cyclical star patterns and genealogical data keep supporting the notion that the Mayans deliberately orchestrated their curtain call. A wave of excitement ripples through the field as each newly translated fragment drips with potential. We stand on the cusp of unveiling the final piece that closes the loop. Yet let's not forget the caution that accompanies this quest. If the Mayans truly left by design, the question arises, what made them so certain it was time to depart, and where did they believe they were going? After centuries of speculation, we may be closer than ever to glimpsing the unimaginable. One thing is certain, the moment of revelation is nearly at hand. Do you ever wonder what lies just beyond the threshold of our conventional reality? Think of a colossal stone archway nestled in the heart of a forgotten Mayan city, etched with hieroglyphs that speak of an opening, a metaphor for spiritual transition, or a cryptic reference to an actual portal. While mainstream experts shrug, handfuls of explorers claim to have experienced inexplicable sensations upon stepping near these ancient gateways, describing shifts in temperature or eerie acoustic anomalies. Could it be that these structures were more than just ornate architecture? Some speculate they served as symbolic or literal doorways to facilitate the Mayans' departure. Maybe they led to hidden enclaves across the mountains, or perhaps to realms we can't perceive with our five senses. This is the final spark for our curiosity. The notion that the Mayans might have physically or metaphysically traversed boundaries we barely understand. These arches stand like silent sentinels, daring us to imagine that sometimes the mystical can be as real as the stone beneath our feet. If you're skeptical, remember that at every step, the Mayans have defied neat categorization. They charted the sky with awe-inspiring precision, built monumental cities against all odds, and possibly said goodbye on their own terms. The next question becomes, if these portals were real, have we ourselves overlooked the simplest explanation, that the Mayans left, but not in the way we assume? Stand by as we approach the final chapters of this mind-opening odyssey. Pause for a moment and consider the untold stories whispered by the wind through vine-entangled ruins. Generations of Mayans poured their hopes, fears, and dreams into stone altars, believing their cosmic guardians would guide them through life's grand tapestry. Their legacy isn't just the temples or the art. It's the intangible resonance that lingers in every carved glyph and every silent courtyard. When we stand among these ruins, we might feel a subtle echo of that raw devotion, the heartaches of a people who dared to believe in something larger than themselves. Could they have chosen to follow that cosmic promise to a distant horizon, leaving this world in a moment of collective courage? Or did they vanish with heavy hearts, uncertain of what lay on the other side? For centuries, their memory has quietly beckoned, urging us to look deeper than the conquering narratives told by outsiders. The emotional anchor holding this entire saga together is the realization that they were human, fathers and mothers, artists and scribes, yet fueled by a cosmic conviction we can scarcely fathom. Their parting, if indeed it was conscious, speaks volumes about faith and resilience. And as the dusk settles over the remains of their civilization, we sense their presence, as though they are still out there, whispering ancient truths on the wind. A single question remains: are we listening? The answer may reshape how we perceive not just the Mayans, but ourselves as wanderers in the vast unknown. We've journeyed through labyrinthine tunnels of thought, weaving together historical fragments, cosmic alignments, and emotional echoes left behind by a civilization that may have chosen to leave on its own terms. Now it's your turn to take up the torch of curiosity. Could it be that the Mayans actually glimpsed something we're only beginning to comprehend? deciding that their future lay elsewhere, or even elsewhen. Let that rattle your assumptions the next time you gaze at the stars or step amid ancient ruins. Sometimes, history's greatest enigmas aren't about how people vanished, but why. Share your thoughts below. Do you lean toward the conventional collapse theories? Or does this idea of a voluntary Mayan departure spark a new possibility in your imagination? Every perspective helps shape our collective understanding. And if you're ready for more deep dives into the hidden corners of history and the cosmic quirks of our human story, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Your insight might just be the missing piece that propels us closer to unraveling the centuries-old puzzle of the Mayans' fate. Because in the end, the real question isn't whether they disappeared, but how far we're willing to follow them down the winding path of the unknown.